Here's 6 things that I wish that I invested in sooner as an 8-figure entrepreneur. And if you want to get to 7 or 8 figures, then hang with me because this is one that you can't afford to miss. Let's go. All right, so here's 6 things that I wish that I invested in sooner as an entrepreneur that have helped me create a multiple 8-figure per year business. And hang with me until the end because missing out on any one of these 6 things could cost a fortune in terms of money, time, and energy lost. And who wants that, right? So let's go. All right, so starting at the top, number 1 is myself. By far, the best return on investment I have ever gotten was investments in myself. Rewind to 2009 and I found myself at my mental, emotional, and spiritual rock bottom. And one day, as I was taking inventory of my life, I asked myself a life-changing question. That question was, what if it's me? When I was looking around at all of the failed businesses, failed relationships, failed jobs, and all these things where I was unhappy, I found that the only common denominator was myself, which at first was a hard pill to swallow, but it was also something that set me free because I realized that if I'm the one that's creating this, well, then the good news is I can change myself. I can't change the economy, my parents, my family, my friends, my spouse, all these things, but I can definitely work on me. That took me to my first personal development seminar. After attending that one class, I was committed to attending all of that company's other classes, which I didn't have the money for at the time, but I was willing to fight, claw, and scratch my way to find the funds because I knew that I'm gonna be with myself for the rest of my life. So what better thing could I possibly invest in, right? I eventually went on to take all of their classes, signed up for classes from all sorts of other teachers, eventually started to dive into the science, neurology, biology, physics, ontology, axiology, just to name a few. Eventually went on to create my own classes that we offer to our clients now to help them break through in their life and reach the next threshold of success in their business, however it is that they define that. On top of that, I always have about 2 to 3 coaches that I'm working with on an annual basis to continue to wake up to myself. And easily what I would say is the most impactful, inspiring, meaningful journey that I've ever been on is the long journey within. So number 1 thing that I wish I invested in sooner, myself. All right, the number 2 thing that I wish that I invested in sooner is skills. I look back at my first 12 years as an entrepreneur that I failed miserably. One of the things that I saw is that I kept thinking that success was a matter of finding the right product or the right service to offer or the right leadership team or the right compensation plan or the right company to partner with or having the right politicians in charge or the right economy to be in or whatever it was. In other words, I kept thinking that it was a matter of finding something outside myself. And then in 2011, I had a major breakthrough where I realized that the gap between where we are and where it is that we want to be is always a skills gap. In other words, it's a matter of learning the skills that will help us bridge that delta. And this is true regardless of the topic, whether it is that we want to save more money, invest better, lose weight, get in shape, be a better business owner, so on and so forth. In other words, every day that we don't learn the skill that we need to be where it is that we want to be, then we pay the ignorance tax instead. And some of the skills that have served me well are sales, marketing, leadership, business development, and these are the things that have helped me create an 8-figure per year business, a juggernaut in my industry. All right, number 3 is ads. When I first got started as an entrepreneur, I did all the things that most people do. I printed up business cards, I went to networking events, I tried to meet people, I handed out my business cards, I handed out flyers, I put flyers on vehicles at shopping malls, I put up banners and posters all over the place, and none of that stuff worked. And even if it did, it would have meant that my income was ultimately tied to my time because everything that I was doing to market and promote myself, I was doing by investing time. However, when I learned how to place ads on the internet directly in front of targeted people who were looking for the product or service that I had to offer, all of a sudden, I went from being the chaser to the chased, from being the hunter to the hunted, and my pipeline began to fill faster than I could keep up with it. And eventually, I was forced to begin hiring people just in order to keep up with all of the demand, which ultimately turned me from solopreneur to entrepreneur. So learning how to advertise and put my message in front of the exact right person who's looking for the product or service gave me extreme leverage and completely transformed my business almost overnight. All right, number 4 is leadership. I wish that I invested in the right leadership earlier on. Let me explain what I mean by that. When my current business, at the time that I'm filming this video, when it was first taking off, one of the things that I did is as I couldn't handle any more bandwidth, I began first hiring with a bottom-up approach. In other words, I hired all the people on the front lines first. I hired a customer service rep to help handle all of the customer service tickets. I hired salespeople to handle all of the sales calls. I hired a developer to help build out some software that would keep our customers happy. And then I had to train the developer on what I want that software to do and how I want it to look. I had to train the salespeople on how to take the calls and how to close. I had to train the customer service rep on how to handle the support tickets and where to find the answers. And eventually when I couldn't handle that bandwidth anymore, then I hired their managers, and then I trained their managers. Then eventually I hired their directors, and then I had to train their directors. Now today, I take a very different approach in all of my businesses. Instead, I start with a top-down approach where I hire the leadership first. The leadership comes with proof of past performance, by the way, not promise of future potential, which is a major mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make. They start hiring their friends or their cousins thinking, oh, I think they would be great for this role. No, we hire based on proof of past performance. Somebody that's already solved the problem that we're trying to solve. And when you hire leadership first, they come with all of the software, all of the management tools, all of the KPIs, and then sometimes they even come with some of the team members that they already want to bring on board. Now, when we hire for leadership, of course, it costs more money up front, but it's something that I wish that I did sooner, because that upfront money to hire that more talented and proven individual ultimately saves a more important asset: time. All right, so the number 5 thing that I wish that I invested in sooner, and this is an important one, is an assistant. You know, when I was first on the come up in my industry, I thought that I wanted to get to $100 an hour. That was one of my first goals. I thought that would be life-changing money. And one of the challenges I faced, though, is that I kept doing $10 an hour, $15 an hour, and $20 an hour tasks. And I thought to myself, oh, I can't afford an assistant. But once I let go of that limiting belief, I realized that I couldn't afford not to have one. And as soon as I hired one, my income took off like a rocket ship, because now I got to get rid of all of the low value tasks that were eating up my calendar and focus on the places where I had the most leverage in my business. So as entrepreneurs, if we don't have an assistant, then plainly put, we are the assistant. And if we want to get to a place in our business where we're making $100 or $500 or $1,000 an hour or more, which is realistically possible, well then first it starts by getting rid of all of the things that are eating up time on our calendar that are worth less than that hourly wage. And today, this lesson permeates every area of my life. I have dog walkers, I have a housekeeper, I have, people that do the grocery shopping, so I can get rid of all the things on my calendar that don't give me leverage over my time. This video being an example of that, where I'm shooting a video over a course of a few minutes in an afternoon, but once this is up on the internet and tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions of people see it over time, think about how much leverage I have on this time and energy spent this afternoon. So get an assistant to take time off of your calendar so that you can focus on more leveraged activity instead. All right, the number 6 thing that I wish I invested in sooner is masterminds. You know, as early stage entrepreneurs, we tend to think that when we run into a problem, we got to figure out how to solve it. But a better question is, who can solve it, or who has already solved it? And by attending masterminds, I was able to get around people who had already crossed certain thresholds in their business that I was looking to cross, or solve problems that I was looking to solve. So they could either help me solve that problem, or they knew someone who had helped them solve that problem who I could also hire or consult with. So in terms of time, energy, and money spent, those are some of the best ROI that I got, because it shortcutted the learning curve and let me get around who could best serve me rather than figuring out how to serve my business. Now, admittedly, today I go to less masterminds because I already have a very big Rolodex, so I don't need masterminds as much as I used to in order to do networking. However, easily still, one of the things that I wish that I would have invested in sooner because of the amount of time and energy that it saved me in the long run. So listen, I hope you got a ton of value out of this video. And again, my name is Keala Kanae, and I'm an entrepreneur who got started while working in a coffee shop for just minimum wage. And I've gone on now to create multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses. My primary business doing over 75 million in sales over the last few years. And I don't say that to brag or boast, but to let you know that everything that I'm sharing on my channel comes from real world experience that's helped me create those results. And if you like this sort of content, then make sure that you subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you get notified anytime I drop more content like this, aimed at helping you save time, energy, and money on your journey. So go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video, my friend. Take care.